My name is Larissa Ponomarenko. I'm a former principal dancer of Boston Ballet and currently on faculty staff with San Francisco Ballet School. Vladimir was my very first ballet teacher. I mean, that is everything I can say. That so the first time I met Vladimir, I was 9 years old, and it was in Odessa, my home city in Ukraine. I dreamt of becoming a ballerina, and one day auditioned to the school and was told it was too early. I had to wait 2 years in anticipation, and then 2 years later I met Vladimir, and he's my first teacher, and it was he was a magical person to me from the first day, because of my anticipation to start studying ballet, because he was a super kind and charismatic person, and he was still very young as a teacher. I believe he was 1980, so I believe Vladimir was 24, 26 years old then, and he was still dancing, and he was showing everything throughout beautifully and was very inspiring, and I've learned so much with him in that first year. Vladimir as a teacher, when I first met him, he was still very young and was full of energy, was still a performer. So everything he would show would be very inspiring. He was very charismatic. He was very strict. At the same time, very generous. I remember that all parents were in love with him, and especially mothers. I even remember my dad was a little bit jealous every time my mom would have to go to the parents' meeting. I believe I saw Vladimir performing as well, because there was one gala at Odessa Opera House where the school and the company performed together, and waiting in the wings for entrance as kids. That was actually lots of first for me. The first time I was performing on that stage, the first time I saw ballet that close from the wings, and I believe I saw Vladimir from the wings, from the side, and I saw him do double tour, and that was the very first time I saw a male dancer do double tour, and I saw how sweat just flew around, and he showered the whole stage with it, which gave me a very clear idea how difficult that profession is, how much effort it takes, and I was surprised how much sweat is put into it, and yet it looks so elegant and beautiful. So Vladimir is very iconic figure for me. It's a lot of first with him. So he's my first teacher. I've learned most of the steps in ballet for the first time with him. So huge vocabulary in 1 year. For the first time performed on Odessa Opera House stage. And for the first time saw ballet from the wings, and for the first time saw a male dancer do double tour from the wings and showering the stage with the sweat. I think the Opera House is the most beautiful opera house in the world. It's very rounded. It's built by Austrian architects, and it stays at the top of the hill, and the Black Sea is right there. So the naturally area is really beautiful, old city, and so the city is really beautiful. It has beautiful sense of culture there. And studying with Vladimir was a dream come true. Though it came to an end in 1 year, the changes were coming, and Vladimir thought I needed to move on to a bigger, more professional ballet school. And he suggested Vaganova Ballet Academy in St. Petersburg, which then was Leningrad. That sounded very exciting, but I really didn't want to lose him as a teacher. I thought he's the best. I don't need to move anywhere. Why do I need to move? Why do I have to move? I want to stay with him. But apparently he himself was planning on moving away from Odessa and perhaps even from Ukraine. So there was really best thing for me to do is to move on. And that moment was a true pivotal moment for me because Vladimir really took a personal time and took care of me. He wrote a letter of recommendation to Vaganova Ballet Academy, which started helped my process of audition to Vaganova Ballet Academy, and I felt like a little seed that he had planted in time and watered in time. And then our ways parted, and I met him, I believe, about 2 years later in Vaganova Ballet Academy. He was there for a very short time. But I was very timid. I was so in awe of him and mesmerized by him that when I met him, I didn't say anything. I was just staring at him with those puppy eyes, I think. And he tried to have a conversation with me. And how are you? Is everything okay? How are you doing? Are you happy here? And all I could do is just nod. I just remember that very short conversation. So it wasn't really a conversation. It was Vladimir trying to check on me. And I was just like there, like that. So then our path went different directions again. And we met much, much later in United States, in Miami. But my career went on. Successfully. I became a soloist dancer with Donetsk Ballet Company. Then I moved to United States, and for 18 years danced as a principal dancer with Boston Ballet Company. And especially any time of success, I felt like there's one person I really have no chance to say thank you to, and it was my dream to find him and meet him, because I felt like, you know, showing him that he could be proud of that little seed that he planted and it grew into a ballerina. But the internet was, I couldn't Google him at that time. Or, I mean, I don't remember what year it was when I wrote him a card, but I couldn't Google him. I didn't know how to find him. I first came across a CD of Vladimir Issaev, CD for ballet music. I took that picture and I come to my husband and I bring the picture from the school of me and Vladimir. And I say, Victor, do you think this is the same person? And my husband looked at the pictures and said, no, it's not the same person. So I left that idea. Then the next time I hear of Vladimir Issaev, it was from my colleague in Boston Ballet, who came from Venezuela. And he spoke of this Vladimir Issaev, fantastic teacher. And I was like, is he Russian? Do you know, has he danced in Odessa? And that colleague said, no, he cannot be Russian. He speaks Spanish fluently with no accent. He doesn't even speak Russian. That cannot be a Russian person. So I left that idea too. But you know, that thought in the back of my mind always to say thank you to a person who pivoted my life in such an incredible way was always in the back of my mind. And so I come across another issue of his CD, Music for Ballet. And this time I decided to write, and there was address on the back of the CD. So I wrote, I believe that's how it was. I wrote a card that I'm such and such, and that I studied in Odessa. If you are that Vladimir Issaev who danced in Odessa, and if you do remember a student's name, Larissa, then I just wanted to connect and say thank you and so on. And he wrote back, and then we exchanged the numbers, and then I sent him pictures from the school, and then later on he invited me to teach for his summer program, and so that's how we kept the relationship going. Because Vladimir has the essence of that academism, which I so respect professionally. So that Vaganova system I was trained in, he is teaching till today, and so his students understand what I'm talking about, and the goal is one and the same, and so it was really wonderful to sort of give back a little bit. And he has wonderful studios, so it was a pleasure, and of course being around in his company, it's just a connection back to like coming full circle. And I love watching him teach. He is just as enthusiastic, and he still shows everything full out, just like I remember him at age 24, 26, whatever that was in that year. Still till today, he is very incredibly enthusiastic, incredibly active, very inspiring to look at the way he shows everything. And the most I respect is his knowledge in ballet and academism. It's that incredible, sophisticated style of teaching, tremendous coordination of the whole body, not just legs, not just technique, but everything. It's that sophistication of elegant combination of elegance, sophistication, and technique. And this is something I really respect in our profession, and he carries it till today. He carries that incredible, beautiful torch. So yeah, he's incredible to be around, and I'm beyond grateful. Needless to say, and I'm grateful that opportunity came to actually reconnect with him as well. So I can say thank you in person.